Hi! Welcome back to Set Building. I'm Rosiel, and we're about to hop right back into what we were doing last time. So, last time we were here, we were just kind of setting up this like little trade building. Just adds a little bit of like movement and momentum to it. So, we're going to go ahead and stick with that. I'm going to pause my game 1 second because I think there is a tab open in my Google Chrome, which you guys cannot see, that is producing audio. And I think it is, I play a personal instrument. And so I believe what it is an ad from a Quartz website that I use. Because I don't think any of the other websites I have open run Audible ads, whereas this one does, because again it's for musicians. You can hear my mouse clicking, or at least I believe you do. Anyways, so we were talking about this last time. This is going to be a trade center with a dock. I push back these hills, and then there's a little river area where kids can play. I'm probably going to push back this later, but that will be done off camera because terraforming is kind of like a boring thing. Anyways. So we're going to build this real quick. And make this a mini porch. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just to make it function. Hold on. Oh, I still have it. So I didn't post last week. I don't know if I said that out loud during the video. I have been very busy. I don't talk about it too much because I feel like it's not super relevant, but I have a day job. I work at a brick and mortar location, and so I have to go in for work, and things have been incredibly hectic because that's just the life I live in. I've also been semi-distracted by my most recent personal obsession, which is the album only musical epic based on the Odyssey by Homer. I have a hard copy of the book too, so like awesome. But in relation to that, I've been obsessed with Greek mythology since I was middle schooler, which is very vague because I don't think I've ever talked about my age on this channel, and I kind of want to leave it that way just to kind of hold on to some of my anonymity. Like, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned I am relatively young, and I think I've mentioned like I've been into the fandom that inspires all of this for the last like 20 years. Or not 20, 10 years. Wow, that math wasn't adding up. Regardless of the point, anyways, I've been thinking about it a lot, which has been fun for my personal psyche. So, I actually so the creator, Jorge Rivera, of the musical is, according to what I know, writing a prequel musical based on the Iliad called Ilium or something like that. Again, I don't know anything for sure because I exist on a plane of my own reality, and that reality does not conform to what anyone else is thinking about. Again, all fun, but I was researching, and so I ended up writing a little song about it would be, in theory, it would be an opening song, or sometime in like the first saga, if he's gonna do sagas like he did with the first one, which I feel like is a great way of organizing everything. to be very succinct, since there is no physical thing to see. Like, I know there's official animatics and all that, but there's no, like, there's no stage direction, there's no words. It's like, in terms of music, it's a middle ground between the musical Hamilton and most other musicals. And when I say that, I don't mean like the style or the content. Like, yeah, it's technically historical, a lot of everything involving the Odyssey and the Iliad is based in historic fact, like the Trojan War. The cause of it is probably not caused by gods. I don't know. So I will reveal a little bit. I am a Christian. I believe I mentioned this in like my second video. I mentioned like I don't want to get too hung up on that label. I do want to also point out that I am what would be considered a progressive Christian. I don't believe in any kind of like anti-LGBT rhetoric. I think people who do believe in that are just wanting to be cruel. Mostly because I am in that community. Besides the point. Basically it comes down to I do not believe in Greek gods or anything like that. And it's not a point to argue. I don't really mind what other people's religions are. Like right now, my current partner is agnostic. I don't think we've ever discussed what the name for what they believe they are. Like, again, I'm trying to be super vague. My partner is not relevant to my channel because it's my channel, not my partner's. And as far as I know, they don't want to be involved, so I don't want to make them feel they need to be involved. But besides the point, back to the original topic on hand. I wrote like parts of a song, and again, I have no connection to the original creator or any of his works. I just have a lot of free time in my hands, so I wrote this little like idea, but it's just like, so it's I called it the Chaos Apple, but I probably would change it to like the Apple of Discord, which is the catalyst for the Trojan War. So it's gold as the precious, sweet as the wine, chaos unfolds, chaos mine. The apple, the golden apple of discord, to whose beauty is beyond compare, to Athena, Aphrodite, and Hera, Galaxus. And then I have a little like, oh, it's like these three voices. It's the different goddesses, and they're all like, they're competing for this apple. So, to the wisest, to the loveliest, to your wife, yes, I shall prevail. To a man, yes, a mortal shall choose. In this case, I cannot lose. So that I paused a little differently. Again, those are just thoughts. I'm rambling. If I were to ever like go through with it, I would probably just call it a parody or an inspiration. I don't intend on ever like trying to push this as if it's real. But so what's really interesting, despite the fact that there's one goddess of beauty and then there's the other two, is they offer Paris, who is by all accounts the inciting incident, different objects, not objects. It's not objects. It's more or less assistants. They offer services. That's the word I was looking for. So Hera offers conquest, specifically inland, to develop his nation of Troy towards Asia. Athena offers war strategy on top of her traditional wisdom, and Aphrodite offers the most beautiful woman he will ever see. That beautiful woman is Helen of Troy. You got a friend in me. So, I had seen a post online, I think it was Tumblr, about people pointing out that the Iliad basically breaks down to the story of Troy. And so someone made a joke, you got a friend in horse, and honestly, I think it would be absolutely hilarious if he added that in, but honestly, I would understand the copyright issues that would come from trying to add in a joke like that. So, but, I mean, if he wants to reach out to me and wants me to, like, have input or something, I would happily offer my services and be the voice of Eris, the woman, or the goddess who gave the apple, which I was also looking into that too, and it's literally it's gotta be the inspiration for, I wanted to say Snow White, but not Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, because there's a wedding, so it's a wedding instead of a christening, and Eris, the goddess of discord, arguments specifically, like the goddess of quarrels. There's technically a goddess of chaos, I believe that's Night, NYX, NYX, kind of like spelled as the makeup brand, which is kind of probably the point. I believe, if I remember correctly, she is the goddess of chaos on top of her other deity based roles. But anyways, she does not get invited to this wedding because who wants a goddess known for starting arguments at a wedding? So I wrote this whole mini lament about how could you snub me when you allow some of the worst, you allow Zeus to be there, and Ares is there, and all this. And I'm like, and I wrote it like that because it feels fitting. But I mean, if I could play her, or maybe do a song for the Helen of Troy who gets kidnapped against her will to serve a man she's never met before, I would love that. If anyone has contact with Rivera, I mean, I volunteer. But I also know that's very unlikely, and I will respect that. I will volunteer to play either of the two goddesses. Correction, Helen of Troy is not a goddess. Helen of Troy is a woman, a queen. And she is not at fault for the Trojan War. Don't get me wrong, she is not at fault. However, she is the catalyst, which is not the same thing. Being the catalyst and being at fault for a war are two very different things. If you want to get technical, if you want to place blame on anyone, it would be probably Aphrodite, Athena, and Hera for getting into this argument about who's the prettiest in the first place. So, like, regardless, back to the story of my world. I think I'm going to incorporate, well, I already knew I wasn't going to incorporate Greek mythology into it. It was going to be, in this world, it is a fictional belief that is long dead, kind of like it is in the real world, at least mythology as we know it today. I know there's pagans out there who still study, this is uneven. No, it isn't. I just can't. I'm just fine. I know there's real people who really study mythology. Or not mythology. Like, obviously there's people who study mythology. Ology means study of. But there's people who still worship these gods and goddesses and believe them to be real. I disagree, but that is not the conversation for this video about this Minecraft fictional universe. But there was something specific that I really wanted to add in here, because I kind of have a rough idea of like who the love interests are and who's gonna win and who's gonna be all this. And the idea is that the world changes based on what's available. If a person is not in the right place at the right time, they won't meet the person they should have met. And in this case, there is a female character who falls in love with the male character. In the other series, which is a little more developed story-wise, whereas this one's a little more developed settings-wise, there's other things, like, regardless. I say regardless and not. You know, maybe when I, like, actually have access to be able to pay an editor, I, can get, like, a regardless counter put on the screen. So, hi baby, can we move? Perfect, thank you. So, Greek mythology is going to be a part of this, and one of the characters has a Greek-based trait that is talked about in the story, and he goes on and he talks about how this myth belonged to these people who live nearby where I grew up. But I had to move here because I need to live with family after such and such happened and all that. And it's all kind of its own thing. And it's interesting to write. And I really wish there was a way for me to get it out on paper without having to, like, physically write it. Because I can think it, and hell, I can stand in a mirror and look and say, these are the words and this is the order they're happening in. But also, like, I don't wanna. But I have to. Inevitably, I am going to have to write down the scripts for all the characters. But I do have pretty decent storytelling going in the background. I have notes. I have a clear path of which I want to go on. But I think that's how I'm also going to create the religion system in this world, is a polytheistic religion system where there is multiple gods and goddesses who are in charge of fate and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's going to be very heavily based off more or less the Greek system, because that's just what I'm familiar with. However, I am not using the Greek one because I'm gonna, like, very much simplify. I was thinking 5. I might have to change it. So, again, none of these characters are specifically written. I just have like a rough concept. I'm gonna have a Hel, a Hades, a Poseidon, and a Zeus, just because it's the 3 domains. Sky, water, and what I might do is make it 4 instead and do water and land as like twins. So like the sky will be one of the brothers or sisters or one of the characters. So we'll have a sky god who will also be in charge of the winds and non-water based storms like tornadoes, and I guess rain, thunder and lightning. Whereas there'll be a Poseidon type, and their counterpart will be their twin, who is a god of the land. And each city will have their patron god. Like, there'll probably be some minor deities involved, but I'm thinking of like the big picture of all the characters. And then there'll be the other one who's the Nether, which will probably be renamed in my world. How did you get up there? No matter. And then obviously I'm going to have a god or goddess of family in the hearth, in the home. And then, and I think that will also extend the marriage. So kind of like merging Hestia and Hera almost. If, again, we're combining mythologies. That is the base of the trade center done. I have been going for 20 minutes, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add doors to the building. So I need it to be on this side because I want them to be inner doors. That way there's a little bit of a walk up, whereas with this there isn't. And then this one will be an outer door, like it faces this way. I apologize, I needed to yawn. You know, this is starting to grow on me. Just the plain outlines. Ever since I got rid of Optifine, I think it was during the last episode. But I'm gonna have a goddess of love and home and hearth and all that. And it's all gonna kind of just be like each one has their own domain. Maybe the goddess of, like, the substitute for Aphrodite is married to whoever's going to be our land deity, and so on and so forth, and it's just like all these little things, and it's a whole bunch of myth that I think I might work out in the background, and then I can talk to you guys about it next time. But I mostly just wanted to make sure I could get a video out today because I missed last week and I'm already running late today. So, you used to be able to just like scroll your hotbar. But here's the trade center. All built, not decorated. Like, this thing is emptier than my soul. Besides all that, I think we're going to have that be it for today. I am gonna go ahead and close down for the morning. I do have as I was talking earlier, I have a brick and mortar job. Sorry, I leaned away from my microphone right there. But I have a day job and I have a shift later today. And I think that just means I'm gonna have to call it quits. I love hanging out with you guys every week, and maybe eventually there'll actually be people here, because as of right now, I'm only getting a few, like 10 or so views per episode, and that's not even the average. That's like the maximum. I think the most watched video is like 11 views. So I'm gonna send this out. Hope that the world will bless me with more views, more people, someone just as beautiful as you. If that's gonna be it, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.